All right, let's call the meeting to order, please. Roll call.
David Chalice, Ron Reeser,
Here.
Pamela Buffington, Roy Jackson,
Here.
Sherry Alexander, Chris Graves,
Here.
Keith Shelby.
Here. We've got a couple things on the agenda tonight. First off, the mayor's gonna give us some updates about the, golf course, and then some action items to discuss that we need to, for plans and changes going forward with it. Last week was a, new beginning out there, and so there's a lot of things that we need to try to get our head around. I know that the council is asking us to do some of it, and they're gonna handle some of it, so I'm not quite for sure. I'm sure the mayor can fill us in and kind of expand upon that. This mainly is just to kind of go over what the plan is, like I said, discussion, possible actions pertaining to any update from the mayor regarding needs, changes, and plans for the Pryor Creek Golf Course. That's what our agenda item reads, and let's try to stick to it as much as possible. I know there's questions that we all have for the mayor, and we can address them. Some of the things too, I think this is going to be a moving target for a little bit, and it's going to take the needs of everybody to try to wrap their hands around it and contain it. And we have action items out there as far as the golf course goes as well that we've known about that we need to address, make sure they get taken care of, bathrooms and so forth like that. So we need to make sure that we adhere to that as well. So, any questions before we start? Awesome. All right, Mayor.
All right. So my intent for tonight is to give you guys an update, okay? Before I do that, I'm gonna start by saying this. The only thing I'm gonna address on it is to the entire board. I apologize, I raised my voice the last meeting. It's not what I like to do, but I extend my apology for raising my voice. It wasn't professional. All right, that said, where are we at right now? We are functioning, we are good, and we've had no interruptions in play. That's been the goal, and that was the mission, and that's what we're doing. Our focus will be and continues to be on the golfers and the people that are experiencing their recreation time out there, and the employees. Last week in the council meeting, I don't know if you guys, did everybody get to watch the council meeting last week? This week? So the council gave me carte blanche to do what I needed to do to make sure that we could maintain stability, maintain play, and altogether make it profitable. I feel like we're on a good track for that. We have a lot of good hands that are playing to help behind the scenes. Right now, we've got Mike Moore from the Rec Center, who is floating for me. He was floating until this afternoon. His wife had a heart attack today, so she's...
I hope she's okay.
Yeah, I haven't heard a response yet, but he left the pro shop and was heading straight out there to take care of her. But in the meantime, we'll just continue going back and forth. But he's going to kind of float till we can figure out the grand plan of what we're going to do. That said, let's take this from Wednesday morning on, all right? We have an agreement that we've drafted up with A&B and with Dennis. Hannah was reviewing the last part of that this afternoon. And as soon as she takes her questions that she had back to Chase, Chase has given us the okay to go ahead and sign that. That agreement basically is respectfully giving right and legal separation between course management systems, A&B, and the city of Pryor. We want to make sure that everybody leaves with no strings attached. The city has offered to pay for everything that's in the pro shop. The price that we got from we'll just say from the Bowmans, respectfully, was $51,000. So that'll be paid out as soon as we sign that contract, that separation agreement. And in that agreement, it says that the city basically has 24 hours after we we sign that to get that to them. That's our intent. Like I said, Hannah's got a question or two for Chase, just for clarification's sake. We'll get that signed, and then probably, I'll just say, Darla will probably work with you on how to do that. If it's an electronic transfer or whatever. So as soon as she gets that, that'll be done. We're grateful for the opportunity to be able to buy that pro shop and move on. There's a lot of stuff that is still there, not near, did a good job liquidating, but that's okay. We get it. We're proud to be able to see what we can do with it. That said, first and foremost, Wednesday morning was to address our employees, right? We can't run a golf course if we don't have a good grasp on employees. So all of the employees that have been, were previously employed with A and B, if you guys are okay, I'd like to refer to A and B as Donna versus Dennis. That's a lot less words. Those that were employed through Donna were instructed to go to Express, get themselves transferred onto the city's account so that we can have staff in the pro shop. We've been trying to get as many of those. We had one came back from vacation over the weekend. We've got, for the most part, we've got, well, let's go down through here. We've got Addie, we've got Kaylee, we've got Kobe, Maddox, and Boomer. They're the ones that are in the pro shop right now. As of this morning, Boomer is a city employee. We've offered to pay him pretty good sum. So he's going to be making about $15 an hour as a full-time employee, and he is eligible for benefits.
So he's on the city's.
So right now, we actually have a divider in the payroll that says pro shop versus, we were able to get that separation out there so we can bill pro shop payroll off of the pro shop and the golf course off of the golf course. So those are the ones that are right now in the pro shop. I know we've got one or two that's about ready to go back to school. They're all agreed to work. We've got schedules going. Boomer's been running the software. We were able to get 4UP and Gallus back on without any real complications. Those companies were tremendous to work for, or work with, and to get that up and going for us. Some of the vendors, Love's Bottling, Hunt Brothers, all of those, we've contacted them. Those accounts are transferred over to the city. When I say transferred, not tied to anything there. That's all in that agreement that we'll sign, that there's a divider, but they knew the account, they know what we stock. So those are going to be slowly brought back in. I believe some of those concession vendors were there today, stocking up beverages and stuff. So we'll get all that going. Hunt Brothers should be out tomorrow for the pizzas and some of those edibles that'll be through there. So we get the pro shop employees in place. Then we look at the course. So those employees that would hypothetically be Dennis, right? We've got Chris, Russell, Allen, and then there's Jamie, who has been with the city on Express for about 11 years, if I recall his time right. We've been paying him through Express all that time. So as of today, Jamie is now a city employee and was compensated for the time that he needs. So now we have currently on the course side of things, we have Chris, Russell, Jamie, and then we've got there's a whole list of others that are going to remain on Express for the time being. And as we kind of assess, we'll see which ones are going to stay, which ones are going to, if they're just summer help, we'll probably keep them on Express. That makes sense. If they're here for the long term, it would absolutely benefit the city to bring them on as employees, because, if you're paying Express $10 an hour for an employee, you're really paying Express over 20. So we can bring them on and take that on. We've kind of assessed that. So that's the employees. We feel solid with what we have. We've got a couple others that have come up. There's a gentleman named Alan. You guys know Alan? He's gonna come and kind of work part-time. He's kind of been out there working anyway, part-time volunteering, but we're gonna put him on payroll. I don't want anybody out there that's working for a deal or working for free, or we don't want to. Right. If they're there, they're going to be compensated, and that's going to be the standard. That's the standard all through the city. Also, I don't know if many of you know Cartwright Weaver. Cartwright Weaver is going to come on board and help us out a little bit with the greens. That's kind of his specialty. We talked to him on Saturday. I think it was Saturday, Friday or Saturday, and he's pretty excited to do that again. He volunteered. I said, no, you won't be volunteering. You'll be compensated. So
Is he still doing his stuff at another golf course, or did he?
he's not. He's retired. He left that, I believe it was Southern Hills is what he said. Some of those, excellent,
For quite a while.
excellent, experience in that. He's gonna kind of help us.
Cartwright.
Cartwright Weaver.
He, went to school in Pryor.
Remember the name, yeah.
Yeah.
Very
guy.
good golfer. In fact, he was a head greens guy. That's one for a very long time. So, I mean, his background is pretty extensive in golf course.
Yeah.
And mainly golf course grind.
And he's a real good guy, you know. Let's keep in mind that the ones that are working there, they have been the ones doing a lot of the work. They've been the ones mowing, spraying, watering on the daily. I have full confidence that they were taught correctly and that they were taught the right skills and given the level of integrity that they should have had from the get-go. So I have no worries in their ability to maintain the job. One of the biggest obstacles that we've come across, and, you know, I'm gonna tell you, it's not a pleasant thing when you take a phone call and the first 5 words are all swear words because people think something is a mistake, and that's very edited. Again, I have confidence in the staff that's out there to do the job. I have confidence in our ability to do what is required to maintain the integrity of that course. That said, our main pump is out. That's been out for a while. You guys, that's not new. Keith and I have talked about that. But last week we got out there to look. Jamie and I got out there, we looked, and it wasn't pressuring up. So we had Collins Electric came out and spent a whole afternoon going through literally everything. We top to bottomed it. There's some parts coming in. They should be in either this afternoon or tomorrow. Jamie's confident they can get that fixed, get it in, and hopefully get that pump back up and going. In the meantime, you know, it's interesting how the rumors spread, right? That people in Florida know things and feel that they're here and that because of what they've heard in a rumor, they think that we've automatically messed up. But the guys are out there at all the right times, at all the right places, watering off of city water. There's not enough pressure right now to get what they hypothetically would need, but they're out there. They've been out there dragging hoses, doing everything they can. They're trying their best in this hot weather. We've got to get that pump up. So when it comes to course deals, that's a priority, is to make sure we get that pump up this week. We went out again. Mike and I went out with Jamie, on Friday, and then I think we went out again Saturday. Kind of looked at everything, the one down by the river, and it's over my head. I don't know how to fix those.
I thought we had a backup pump out there, because we had talked about this at one time, that if something happens, in fact, that was one of your, something happens to this pump, how we getting water to the course.
I'm not up to speed on what this is about.
So about the water, the
Water
main
and
pump
greens
that pumps out of the river.
Oh, I understand that about there not being, the backup not working.
Yeah.
I thought.
So right now they're using city valves, is what I was understood when they were explaining it. It's great, there's enough, but it's just not enough pressure, and they need more pressure there, and it takes a lot longer.
Right.
When that takes longer, it drags you out into the wrong times of the day to be watering, and so they're doing the best they can. They are really working the best they can. One of the things that, and I didn't print it off, I apologize, I've been keeping kind of an expense tab on what we've had to spend, given that the council gave me carte blanche to do what we needed. In the break room for the course guys down in the shed, the barn, whatever you want to call it, we bought them an air conditioner. I think that's appropriate that they have an air conditioner. We also are going to buy them a refrigerator for that break room down there. They don't have one of those either. So they've got to have it. We've got to be able to keep those guys cool. You know, Chris just came back on Friday from being out. He had a heart attack. It's hot. I need to make sure that these guys have a place to go that's cool, to cool down if they get overheated. and that's something that we're doing. So those kind of things have been purchased. We also, at the pro shop, we called Jayco with, we called Seth Jacobs with Jayco Heating and Air. He's the one that did a lot of the work at the rec center. You know, you guys have been over there, you know that he does a great job. I told him I wanted 2 additional mini splits put in the pro shop. I went in the other day, it was just hot. All the glass on that building was hot, you know, so he came out, looked at some things, and hopefully by tomorrow, they'll have the roof unit working properly. They cleaned up the mini split in the kitchen area, and they're gonna add another one over by the, where the shoes are at over in that little area, so it'll kind of get that side of the room cool. And then with just like a floor fan, it pulls a lot of that cool air out of the back where the bathrooms are, and that helps a lot too. And we can run a fan, that's not a big deal. But the idea is to make the conditions suitable for the employees to be in there, and that's been a priority. And so we've got that. We've got all of the employees up to par on what their responsibilities are going to be, but there's still going to be things change as we go forward, as we adapt and go. One of the things that you guys approved the last meeting was the rebrand of the course, and so we talked to them all and asked how they would love their appearance to be. They've all requested polos, so just a golf polo that says, you know, City of Pryor Creek Golf Course and staff. Of course, the girls want pink and white, and I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with that. As we look to stock shirts in that pro shop, we're going to look at people that can provide those for us. And I met with a vendor today who does quite a few other courses, and they can get us some good, what is this, like the polyester spandex mix that we're wearing. Keith, I think. Yeah, dry fit. I think, Ron, is yours that same material? I can't tell. Same thing Ron's is? Yeah. They can get us those, a minimum order quantity of 25 for $30 a piece with the embroidery on it. So, you know, if that's what we do for the staff, we can get 25 shirts for the staff. That's not a bad deal for that price. So it's kind of where we're at. We've made several trips to Costco, Sam's, Walmart to get things stocked up. Obviously, part of the inventory that belonged to Donna was the TVs for scoring outside. We've replaced those TVs. One of the things we're thinking of is, you know, do we hard install them? Mike would like to see them on a cart so they can be rolled in and out at night. Seems like a lot of work for me, but we've got the TVs there. Those were, you know, TVs are a dime a dozen now. I think I paid $200 a piece for
They're pretty cheap.
2 58-inch TVs at Walmart. Wasn't a big deal. So, so right now, basically where we're at is, you know, everybody's working their tails off to maintain what was expected of them before, and we were very clear that same level of integrity is going to be expected going forward. We do have to figure out what we're going to do. The gentleman that was doing some of the exterminating, got to figure out how we're going to take care of him. Kind of an interesting situation. It's a necessity. We went back there on Wednesday morning, and he had a big old 200-pound boar in his trap. They're off the south side. I tell you what, don't go back there and look. You will come out with 1,000 ticks on you, and it's bad. So I've been spent all day picking ticks off of me, but you know, that's a necessity, and so we want to make sure that those kind of things stay up as well. I've asked those guys that are involved in that. I said, I want you to take your Google Maps on your phone, and I want you to drop a pin everywhere that you harvest an animal. If you get a boar off behind 3, drop your pin there. I want to know, so that if we go back to the state or we go back to a game warden or whatever, we can say, no, we're kind of keeping an eye on it. We're trying to monitor the traffic patterns of the, you know, the dogs and the boars and things. We don't want anything that's going to appear like we're doing anything illegal or shady. I don't think there was anything before. It's part of course management, but we need to figure out how we're going to get this Scott kid taken care of. Probably just put him on express, and he could clock in when he goes out there at night and do his thing and whatever. I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
It's super important to keep that up, because one night they can,
Well,
they'll make a hole as big as this room. I actually was out there one time, and I think it was on 5 that was real bad, and they eat all of the grass and it was probably half the size of this.
This is the one that's got
Well, it's holes in the
Up
ground.
Boers did, yeah.
See that Wednesday morning. You know, so they are a real thing.
Oh, yeah, they don't play around.
No.
They're terrible out there.
And, you know, as heavy as that is back there in the underbrush, especially, if none of you have gone out to that pump out on the river, I would really recommend come on out and let's go. It is,
Trip.
Donna, do you know how far back that is? Is that?
It's almost a mile.
It is.
Yeah, it's way, way back
It's
there.
this. Don't take the low road, take the high road, but point is, if this is wandering around out there, they will attack and charge. So we want to make sure that we stay up on that. We don't need any kind of, can you see that all right? Let me make that bigger.
You see the pig inside there?
Absolutely. That thing is, he's quite, there's a bunch of them too.
That better, Ron?
Yeah, okay, I can see which end I'm looking at now.
You're looking at the ham end. But anyways, they're out there, you know, that's a reality. We want to make sure we take care of those things. You know, we're not going to get this overnight. We're not going to get this overnight, but our main goal is to make sure that the golfers are happy, and that things are taken care of. And I think by buoying up the staff and making sure that they all understand they're good, we're going to take care of them, bringing in some of the right help for the right places, like Cartwright and his expertise with the greens. I've also got Chris and Jamie are going to work on some of their certifications, like the pesticide. Chris is going to start on pesticide. Jamie's going to start on the irrigation. When they're done, I've instructed them to switch and start working on the other. We're going to make sure that more than just one person has certifications out there. Cartwright carries some of those certifications. We want to make sure that everybody out there has what they need to do the job. So I did talk a little bit with Dennis the other night, emails and texts, and he sent me, we'd already talked about these. This is what I printed off, you guys have in front of you.
Bunker rates.
The bunker rake and the mower. And so we're gonna have to make a decision on those. I think when I talked to Dennis last, he was looking at the, let me find it here, and I may not have printed them all off for myself. Yeah, go to the one that has the KGT. He was looking at these rakes here, and he was talking about I think he said he said 28 is what he said we could get one for 28. Clearly, that's not the highest, it's not the lowest. I would say we'd probably
Right
want to.
about in the middle.
Yeah, we probably want to look at that, let you guys make a decision on what we want to do, but we're ready to make that purchase whenever we need to. That was in something we were going to put in anyway to the capital for this year. Did you have a question on that, Roy?
Nope.
Okay,
Is it in stock?
that I haven't checked with, I would imagine so. But I need you guys to kind of think about which one you think we should go with. I would say Dennis recommended that Smithco, the middle one.
I would
If-
kind of lean if that's what his recommendations were, we'd probably
Right.
take it.
Yeah, I mean,
Who made the recommendation on this?
Dennis.
Dennis did.
yeah, these came from Dennis last night or Saturday night. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's that, and then you can see the other one is, and he did say all of these were state contract pricing, so. And then the other one is gonna be on the Toro, and that's 30,000. And then you've got all the information that Toro sent with theirs in your packet there. That's what I was sent, so. We,
This is for the sand.
we have taken care of all of the things that need to be taken care of in terms of, you know, securities and things like that typically we do anytime there's a change of management or ownership or whatever. Bart with Fit, who does all that for the city, came in and we got all the things cleaned up there that need to be cleaned up. And with Boomer, Nick Panther's his name, Boomer is what everybody calls him, and I think it's fun. Boomer is gonna be our shop lead, so he's gonna kind of run that pro shop for now. He can run all of the software, the 4UP, the tournament software. He's also doing the scheduling and things like that, so we're gonna lean pretty heavy on him. He's a tremendous asset. Also, he is working on his PGA certification, and so him and I will be talking about that going forward. If he remains in employment with the city, we'll see where that goes, but we may pick up the tab on that when he's done.
So with Cartwright, is the plan then for him to just take care of the greens and stuff, or?
To help take care of the greens, yeah. So we're gonna rely heavily on all of them, on Chris and Jamie and Russell. They all have kind of the things that they do. You know, there's, Michael, who's out there, he's on a temp, he's kind of a little older gentleman. Kind of a jack of all trades, you know, so he does a lot of stuff to help out, rough mowing, whatever. We're just gonna kind of watch them and see where their expertise are, but I want everybody to be trained up and certified with the things that they need to manage that course. I think that's responsible, and, you know, that certification for the pesticides is like a $50, when we were looking the other day on the website, it's like $55 for that. So Chris is confident that he can pass that test by the end of the week.
Is
So,
there,
not in a race, but
who would be the go-to person for the greens and the upkeep, and is there one go-to?
right now it's gonna be Chris. Chris is still,
Okay,
his position isn't changing. And he's gonna be the one kinda, you know, directing traffic on the greens. But bringing in Cartwright and his expertise, you know, and working with all of them to do what they know, that they're to do what they were doing before.
So is he mainly gonna just do an advisory position, but best way to say Cartwright then, or is he gonna be?
Cartwright will kinda, yeah, be advisory, kinda, you know, we'll see how that goes. He doesn't wanna work a whole lot, cause he's retired, and I get it. But he definitely wants to help.
He's 2 years younger than I am, 58.
we'll say he's not that old. He's
No.
retired.
But he's
a good guy.
But whenever he was young, he was out there a bunch with Dennis, and he got lots and lots of lessons from Dennis. And, I mean, of anybody that would be recommended for just me personally, cause I know Dennis had a lot of hand in him, that would be the first one that I would, I mean, if anything, if he's interested, it'd be the first one I'd go to.
Yeah.
That, he learned a lot from Dennis, and he took his skills from that to go to where he wanted to go in college.
So,
I mean, as far as the golf, I mean, I couldn't say anything bad about the guy. It's good that we've got some people that, you know, I know Dennis was he trained everybody. There was a lot of cross training done all the time out there, and Donna as well in the pro shop. I mean, it was very well expected to it's not a one person everybody knows.
No.
Which is good. So we got people that's taking care of cleaning the carts after each round. People inside the pro shop.
Correct.
So,
one of the other things we're looking to bring on, and I think this might kind of help with a lot of different, just behind the scenes, is we're gonna look at possibly a bookkeeper who can get in and kind of help keep the books. I know Gail was working on that for Donna and Dennis. Tremendous job. I think when we get into, you know, cart rentals and memberships and some of those things, and there's all the old records that are there, and, you know, the city's whole goal right now is to try to get as much digitized as we can. We want to include those records in that. So if we can get somebody in there to kind of do that, who can kind of oversee the bank deposits and stuff, I think that's going to be a wise employment for us.
So is the goal then to financials monthly will come in, we'll look through them and visit with them and go from that, and then pass on to city council? Is that kind of the goal of?
Yeah, we're just gonna keep watching things. I mean, taking this pro shop on, it's new territory. By no means is it an impossible task for us. You know, we started Wednesday rocking and rolling. We do need to make sure that we've got the credit card transactions transferred over, which I may visit with you, Donna, in a minute on that, but we've ordered a new credit card machine that'll be the same as we use up here at City Hall, so all of that'll go through. But I'm gonna tell you, it's been pretty good. That team out there, they're all rock stars, every one of them, and they've all stepped up to the plate. Very positive attitudes about everything. You know, we had a tournament on Friday. That tournament went really well. I've not had any complaints except for those who are out of the state who have some.
It happened.
You know, this has been a complicated process, okay? And I ask this with just kind of seeking understanding.
Yeah.
Where do we fit in oversight at the golf course going forward? Because it's been a bit of a moving target. Okay?
It has been. I think nothing really changes, Ron, you know.
Okay.
The big debate, the big thing, and, you know, the attorneys have talked back and forth about things, that were a concern to you guys about the, you know, the employment statuses and things and who's in charge of that, right? And they're still hashing back and forth. We're gonna let them hash back and forth till they're done hashing back and forth. In terms of things like the bunker rakes and all of these, and, you know, I'm bringing to you some of these things, and if you know, I worded that very vaguely so that I could give you an update, and then we can act on anything that I've updated you on. So things like the polos, I want your input on putting the staff in polos. What are your thoughts on that? And do you recommend us going back and ordering staff shirts for everybody? I think that just, it's clean, it's crisp. Let you know about the air conditioners. That's an emergency purchase I made under the carte blanche that the council gave. It was hot, we needed air conditioners, let's get it done. So in all of that, you guys are actually getting an update from me before the council gets one. And I told Keith when I scheduled this, I wanted to get that done right away, so that if you guys had anything for me to take to the council, that process is still in place. And so that's where I needed to come to you before we go to council next week. But I also wanted to make sure I could get to you guys right out the bat, so you were as up to date on everything as possible. That was, you know, the comment last time is more communication. I'm swinging hard trying here, but I wanna make sure that you feel that I heard you and that I'm listening, so.
Questions? Ron, Pam, Chris? I think it's, you know, there's a couple of counselors, one I won't name names, but I'll point to that area that they sit at down there. And the uncalled for thinking that our board was directly the ones asking for, who's hiring who or who's not hiring who, I don't think was appropriate, and that's gotta stop at some point. And we'll be the bigger people, you know, I look at it as this way. End of the day, whatever is broke, somebody's gonna rule on. I don't care how it goes, either way, quite honestly, just whatever we're gonna do, keep it to a standard, and that's the way things go forward. And as far as the golf course, the things that goes on out there, again, you know, to me, I think we're doing really good to get a lot of this done like you're talking about, and to me, there's things out there that we've gotta, that's just as important, if not, like the bathrooms out there between
Correct.
those two. That's something that we've gotta get some type of information on. Sean sent me a message about wanting that, so I'll try to work with him and get some information, so our next meeting 2 weeks from now,
So,
we'll have that. So I think it'd be
Yeah.
important that we just work through the list, and as stuff comes up, we go forward with it.
so going forward, I think that's the next step of this conversation is what are we looking at? What are we planning on? You know, who's, what's, where's, and why's, right? We don't know who's yet. We haven't got that far. We're not ready for that. I do think that, you know, whoever we find to be that overseer of the course, the most important thing for me, more so than having somebody with, you know, titles and certifications, is somebody who can manage it. It needs to be managed more than it needs to have a title on it. You know, if we instill our trust in the employees and we give them all the resources they need, they'll do the job that's expected. If they've got the certifications, they get the certifications, they're good to go. They'll do what they want to. I have faith in their abilities. But more so important than anything right now is not, you know, it's not a title right now for me, it's a manager. I need somebody who can manage the employee, the public, and the course. You know, Dennis did a good job at that.
I will tell you, he was out there everywhere.
I know.
And that's probably, you know, a hard thing that's probably the hardest thing. I mean, not just in there looking over, making sure that he's doing it right.
Right.
But he would be out on a mower, so that's
Well, and every day I get emails and texts from all over the country, you know, hey, I'm a +4 handicap, and I'm like, that's great, but if you can't manage people, I don't need you. If you don't have the personality for it, I don't need you. This isn't about titles right now. This is about really managing that course, and that's what we need, so.
do we need to separate it to as far as the pro shop is one entity and is the golf course another? And is there somebody that's common that's over both?
It's kind of some of the stuff we're looking at. I don't have any answers on it. We're just,
Well,
a lot of
I mean,
conversations.
just something,
Yeah,
just throwing that out there. And then, you know, at the end of the day, it's the golfers that we've got to make
Correct.
sure that there's no interruption in play and stuff like that.
Yep.
I know that that's gonna be a hard chore. And, you know,
There's just, you know, and it's to be able to address people, I mean, you said, you hit it right on, rumors, you know, and then rumors create a new life, and then people make up their own stories and those types of things, and I know you've had to deal with a lot of that, as we
Okay.
have.
Yeah.
But I've been asked questions about how the situation with the dog was handled and the concerns, and so I don't know what is real, I don't know what is truth, I don't know what is not, and what is assumption. Can you provide clarity in that?
I can,
Okay.
and I'm gonna tell you that before I get into it, I'm gonna handle it with the utmost respect to all parties in the room, but I'm also not gonna go around in circles on it. Okay, so, and I'm speaking directly to you guys. Are we clear on that? I walked in Wednesday morning and I saw Caddy. You guys have been out there, you know that Caddy's old, 18 years old. Caddy has been a tremendous pet, or dog, or tool, all of those things in one. She's done a good job for the course. Her health was not stable. You know, at the point that becomes our responsibility to look at that shop and look at that course and look at all those assets that are out there, my first call was to Chief Cantrell, and I said, I've got Caddy out here. She looks horrible. Her health is bad. Her hip dysplasia, her bones are showing through. Her skin is falling off. Her teeth are not prime. What do we need to do? He did say the same thing that many others have said. She should have been put down 2 years ago. I'm not a vet. That's not my call. So I called animal control and I said, I need you to, and I use this exact words, I need you to reverently pick Caddy up and take her to the vet, and whatever the vet says, that's what we need to do. They took her to the vet. They did stop at Sonic and got her a couple pup cups. When they got to the vet instructed to leave her in the car and that she needed to be euthanized immediately. If there's any dispute on what that looked like, I did take a video before we let her go. So when we see the narrative that it was just a heartless act, I think it was the most humane thing that I could have done for that animal at that time. And in all respect, you know, it wasn't made in light. It was made with humanity and doing what was humane in mind. And the vet was the expert on that, and the vet was the advice that I followed. The Bowmans did get Caddy back, and they were able to bury her. And they called and went through the channels of Chase and the attorneys, and I said, absolutely. I wouldn't expect any different. And I did tell Dennis the other night that we would be willing to put a stone or a marker out there to respect that. I don't know what that looks like yet. It won't be in light. It'll probably be something kind of nice. Plan on hitting up Witt Monument here in Pryor and seeing if they'd like to contribute to that. But we want to make sure that we take care of
Well,
that.
you know, the dog was like a part of the course, I mean.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
And I guess the question is, it appears it was a right decision. I don't know. I mean, it was an old dog, but, you know, he mild-mannered, and of course, then everybody loved him. And then when something like this happens and there's no understanding, then again, people start making things up. And so, were the Bowmans involved in that decision at all?
The Bowmans had left at that point, so no.
whose dog was it? Did we actually?
It was a course dog.
In hindsight,
Was it-
would that not have been appropriate? It wasn't a family dog.
In my discussion with Dennis, she came up about 15 years ago, wandered on as a stray, and was a course dog. So, again, I'm sharing with you guys what I've been shared with, what I've been told, and that's what I'm doing. Again, it wasn't made in light, it wasn't made in haste, it wasn't made in anything other than the vet needs to assess this situation and take it from there.
I don't think what was done may have not been, it may have been the right thing to do, okay? But it's hurtful, and it has hurt some people.
Ron, don't underestimate that wasn't
Wasn't easy to do.
No, it wasn't easy. And, you know, the thing is, you know, I'm not gonna have that on us if it's something that a vet deems immediately needs to be acted in another way. And I went through Chief Cantrell, we called animal control, we did those things.
Why didn't you call the Bowmans?
I didn't call the Bowmans because things have been so explosive there that I'm not gonna have that interaction without going through other steps. And I'm not gonna let a dog sit there for days without that. I'm not. So, you know, I've been called a monster, I've been called a horrible, I've been told I'm an awful, evil person. You wanna see the video, I'll show you the video, and you can make that determination for yourself.
I understand about the video, and I've seen her. But it just seemed like the right thing to do to
My question is,
contact the owners.
the owner should have taken her with.
Well, that's another question I had. Why didn't they take her too?
Well-
I mean, I think there's responsibility on both parts.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna go round and round about it. It's a decision we made. Ultimately, the dog is in a better place. It's not something, you know, it's not something that I looked forward to having to do, but I will manage things the way that they're left for me. And that's the bottom of it. So, at the end of the day, that's where that's at.
I mean, it's kind of
You know,
I see
well-
both sides.
well-intended or not, there's been some hurt in this. Just want you to know that.
I'm very much aware of that, Ron. I am very much aware that there are people that think that I'm the world's worst communicator. And to that I say, when you're wearing my shoes, then we can discuss how things could have been done better. But based on the information I was given and the time and the things that I had to deal with and handle, and respectfully asking for that to be done in a reverent manner and gone to the vet, who is that expert,
Did,
that's where it's
and a
at.
funeral even too, I believe, was it?
Do what?
They did a funeral.
Mhm.
Out there at the golf course, there was a funeral.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll know how to answer then, that it was deemed appropriate and the best thing to do. But when I get asked questions of why, it was just in the best interest to go forward with it. I just
And-
didn't know how to answer that.
And you're always welcome to direct them to me. I mean, I haven't stopped a conversation with anybody in the last 2 weeks. I've taken every call I get. I have no problems talking to anybody about anything.
Well, for the park board's perspective, I would like to grant an apology that the Bowmans weren't involved, okay, because I think that would have made them feel.
I'm not apologizing.
And that's just superficial, but I just kind of want that kind of on the record.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that, I mean, my opinion, if we're throwing opinions, I don't think that's I mean, you do what you need to do, and I respect that, but I don't feel like that's an apology you guys have to give. It's not you weren't a part of that. So,
Choice.
right, and I respect that.
Anything else?
I mean, I would like a little input on that,
It's not open hearing.
because I know that she was fine that morning, and I had instructed, so the night before we left, it was about 11 o'clock, and she was already put up in for bed. The next day, first day in there, I wasn't gonna go in while he's there, I knew there was gonna be staff meetings and all of that. I had instructed Boomer at 7 PM the night before, see how Caddy does tomorrow morning. If I need to come pick her up, you call me. I will be here to pick her up,
You said that to who?
to Boomer.
Okay.
And he, the person who now is apparently running it out there. I was told that when he got asked, shouldn't we be calling Donna or Dennis, he said no. My staff did feel like we should be called.
Respectfully,
Well, here's my thing.
I'm not engaging.
This isn't a trial.
Right.
I mean, it's just clarity so that we can address things. And I am sorry, my opinion, you should have been involved.
Absolutely.
But I'm sorry that didn't happen. I don't think it was intentional miscommunication. I don't know anything about that, but at least we know, have clarity of the story so that we can respond to that. That's important.
She was 15 and a half, and we got her at 6 weeks old. She did not wander up or anything like that. She was a part of our family for 15 and a half years. And that was her one and only home. And the very first day that we don't happen to be there, she gets killed. It
I
was
don't-
not handled.
I don't think.
It was not handled.
Well, that word
Appropriately.
killed, I don't think she was killed, maybe, I mean, I see your point, I mean, I understand your point, and I completely,
Both sides.
I can completely see both sides, and
It would not have been hard, and if he was so busy
What-
and didn't have.
but
time
hang
to
on,
deal with
but
it,
hang
All
on.
he had to do was make a phone call.
hang on.
Or as you said, Donna,
Yeah.
somebody call Donna.
Hang,
Ask for a
hang
point
on,
of order.
hang on, but at the same time, there's two sides to the story. You know, that somebody could raise a question, why didn't you take the dog if you knew you were leaving? That would be the first thing somebody would say. It could be pointed out to you, if you knew that the night that you were leaving, or you had decided that day, why didn't you go ahead and take him? That's one side of the coin. The other side is, like you just said, you know, you didn't want to go in there while they're, you know, while all that is going on is being killed. The bad part about it is, if the burden of proof was, you know, if it's your dog, why didn't you take it? And that's how somebody would argue, you knew you were leaving, why didn't you take it?
She was put up to bed that night.
Right, but what I'm saying is, somebody would argue and say, well, then why didn't you take the animal?
So,
And then on the other side, in the city side, I would say, you know, if the vet felt like it was necessary and deemed that's what was wrong, then what do we do? I mean,
And that's why.
I feel bad, I feel bad. When I heard, I was actually with the group that was there at the funeral. And quite honestly, you know, that's a lot to do for that dog. And that was a lot. That dog was old, and I'm an animal lover myself, and I'm not gonna put it down either way. I'm neutral, so just, I feel for you, because he was, there was a sign out there, don't feed, you know, don't feed catty hot
She
dogs.
was, 15 and a half.
And I get it, I see both sides, but I don't know, you probably wouldn't like what I have to say right here, but I would just,
If she would, here's my deal too, is let's say the vet said, yeah, she needs to be put down. Why wasn't Dennis or I there with her at the end? We could have been. But just because of his lack of compassion and telling them, do not call Dennis and Donna, we could have been there with her, if that was the case.
but who said that?
My staff, well, they're his staff now. Yeah, they've told me.
Yeah, but the bad thing, anytime somebody takes over, you're hearing whatever they want to say to you without you being there. Now, I'm not saying they're wrong, I'm not saying they're lying, I'm just saying anytime something happens, whatever case they're gonna plead to is who they're gonna venture to what side. If you didn't, I mean, if there was no proof, anybody said, hey, don't call them, who knows?
Oh, yeah, if there's no proof. If there's no proof. But what if there is?
I don't know. I mean, I get it. I mean, I understand, and I don't know what the answer is. I think Ron's right. I mean, I don't discredit what anybody's saying, and I don't discredit what you're saying or what the mayor's saying.
Do we have policy at the dog pound or at the shelter? Isn't there a policy on abandoned dogs?
No idea.
Do you know?
No idea.
I wonder if there was like, I mean, if there's a stray dog that's picked up, there's a certain amount of time.
No idea.
Within the hour.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Okay.
We're kind of straight off.
yeah, if I can reclaim some of my time? that-
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Well-
it's not gonna change anything, but I think the clarity is important.
Listen, I'm gonna be very
To
clear.
deal with the emotions, and all that's emotional. I mean, there's a lot to that on everybody's part.
I get it.
But I think, here's my recommendation. Yeah, it could have been done different. People could have been informed, but everything's done now. There's clarity to what happened, and it's time to move on.
So, are we good?
Yeah, go ahead.
Back on it? So I did ask why the dog was there. And 3 of the staff that were there that morning said that they didn't think I'll continue when they're done with the comments. I did ask the staff. Hang on, because I asked the staff. I asked Captain Trammell, I asked Chief Cantrell, I asked Becky, who is the animal control, and when 3 of the staff said they didn't take her because they said she wouldn't make the car ride.
I've heard that several times,
That's
and I have no idea how true that
It
is.
was never a should you call. That was never part of it. I said, well, and if that's our problem, then we're gonna see what we need to do for the dog. And the vet said, leave her in the back of the Explorer, and they euthanized her there because she was popping and cracking the whole way. You can make a judgment for yourself if that's a dog that was well taken care of. I'm sorry, that's neglect. The dog was 18 years old, not 15 and a half. The point is, the hip dysplasia was so bad that when she laid on her pillow, the hip rotated completely flat as a pancake. She didn't have hardly any teeth. The hair, you can see right here. The hair. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'm gonna make the call. Humane is not that.
You know, I've had animals.
I will not apologize.
They've been in terrible shape, and it's still not easy. It is the best.
But I will not apologize for putting that dog in the hands of the vet, the skilled expert in our town who does that. And he didn't even want her removed from the vehicle she was brought in and said it was too painful, and he took care of her there. She was very reverently taken care of.
I don't think that there's anything that is gonna be easy for a while due to the fact that
Yeah.
And
this thing is,
And if you notice,
it's an explosion and it's just part of the stuff that's
notice though,
falling out.
I am not going to engage in
It's
those.
important that there's clarity, as much clarity as possible.
Ron,
Because it
I could be-
protects you, it protects everybody.
Well-
And it lets us respond too.
Let me grab a chair.
Do what?
Let me grab a chair. Let me close those doors and grab a chair if you're really ready for clarity. Because several times this week, the conversation of employee abuse has come up. Several times, I've had things where people come to me and say, do. And you know what my response was? I'm sorry, for all of this that just took place, and all of this that took place last week, and all of the phone calls where I've gotten my butt handed to me by people that don't even live here, that are either relatives or friends, which is fine. I think I've handled myself more than professionally to say, you know what? I don't know who's sending pictures to this guy in Florida that's calling me, cussing me out, starting with, Mayor, you don't know how bad you fucked up. Well, neither do you. You're in Florida. What's your name? Who are you? With my wife sitting right next to me in the car listening to this. So let's talk about clarity and transparency. Let's talk about employees that have been there 11 years, still on Express, costing the city well over $25 an hour for an employee who works as tush-off and doesn't have a break room with an air conditioner or a refrigerator. I have a refrigerator ordered and an air conditioner was purchased that day. Let's talk about the things that haven't taken place, and I have been more than respectful. I waited till they were gone to push play. Because I prepared this, I told Keith, I prepared this, because I knew that this was gonna turn into this today. But what I will not continue to do is be put on trial, and I know you said we're not.
I was just wanting to clear the air.
I know, but understand that if I'm not speaking about something that needs to be spoke about, more than likely it's not professional for me to bring it up because it's going to stir some emotion, or 2, we're going to have a real problem if I open my mouth.
Well, in true respect for all of you, I mean, I did visit with some people, and the very first thing that would come up was, if that was your animal, why didn't you take it with you? You've been preparing for a month now that you were gonna leave, and you had sold quite a bit of your inventory off and this, that, and the other, and it is your animal, why did you not take it? And so it was, how do you defend both sides of the fence? And with not knowing the answer, then I was playing at a golf tournament Saturday, and they said, they had a funeral, there was, I guess, quite a few people there. You buried it on 9 or.
I don't know, I was
9.
specifically told I wasn't invited, so I just respect.
I know that they buried it,
Gave their,
and it's out by one of the holes, so, I mean, it was a big, they funeral, the whole deal, so I guess, I can see both sides. I see that, you put my dog down, you didn't give me time to get it, but if you knew you were leaving, why didn't you get it? You took everything else, and if this animal was part of your family, like most, at least mine, I'm sure, Chris, if you've got one of those lap dogs, it doesn't go anywhere without something happens, that's the first thing that gets taken care of. I get it. I'm completely,
the thing that I would ask
See
you
what-
guys to look at,
but that's,
and I get that some of you are not social media people, I wish it wasn't a thing either, but the reality is, if you look at where the hate is coming from and where the nasty belittling comments, it's not from the city side. I've done everything in my power, and I will, because that's my thing, to be respectful. Yes, I apologized for raising my voice last week. I'm sorry, Chris. The point is, between the boys, Donna, Gail, who, mind you, called me in tears about a year ago when those two were not available for contact in Florida. And I was the first one down there to help figure out that situation and show her how to do the stuff that needed to be done. There have been countless conversations on social media about how the mayor has never been to the golf course, even when he's invited. Keith, you know that's a load of crap. I go down there quite a bit. My job is not to micromanage my department managers, but to buoy them up, give them the tools they need, and if they have a problem, they know that I go immediately. And I would every time. And I would periodically pop in because that's how it's supposed to be done. But to say to the public that the council are unintelligent idiots and they're stupid and that we're monsters and horrible, awful people, I respect the feelings and the passion that's coming right now. And that's why I've been more than patient and considerate to not fight it back and not get in an exchange of words.
you said something very important, and I think that's where maybe the hardest thing for two people to see is passion. Because, I can't tell you how many years, this board has always been the sounding board for anything that goes on out there. And whenever it becomes something that was, to a point, it kind of took a different path, and people start questioning who has the right, who's in charge of what. I said it once and I'll say it again, and I'm just gonna tell you, I talked to a lot to Chris, and, I talk to everybody, because I don't think it's not, this board isn't one person, it's a group of people. My job is just, I get to read and direct a question and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, we got away from, in my opinion, you got passionate people you got a passionate group here, and you got a passionate group at the city council, and who's right, who's wrong, they can't do this. At the end of the day, as long as there's a set of rules, regulations, this is how we're operating, that's what we all work on and work toward. And I think we've lost sight of that along the way. And it's just part of it. Things happen, and I get it, but that's something we need to work as a group to get better at all the way around. From, everybody. And I think this is probably the most passion that we've all had about a particular subject, and probably since you and I fought about the damn swimming pool, and that's been how many years ago? Quite a while. But if you don't have passion and you don't have people, they're just, yep, everybody agree, yep, pass it on. And that's not a board, that's just rubber stamp, and that's not right. I don't think there's an easy answer for anything that happens out the golf course for the next 6 months, because somebody's gonna say, well, this is how we've done it in the past. And I think we're gonna see that, just like you said, with how long some of these people are on Express. It's good that we're taking some of those people off and putting them to the city's payroll. It's important. I mean, they've been there that long, they should. I mean, do we have a rule set up to how long can they be on Express before we take them over?
Nope.
I mean, that's different things that from an HR standpoint, and I think it's gonna get, I mean, that's something that was never had to be involved in. Now, all of a sudden,
It's on our plate.
it's on our plate.
It's on our plate, and I'm gonna tell you, I said this last week, and I'll say it again. My goal and my direction is always gonna be what's best for the city.
Well, I
Very
think it
good.
should be.
And from there, we'll work our way down the list from employees, the people, the city, to the contractors. And,
mean,
and,
I think it's a smart thing. I will say that when you said Cartwright, because I personally know him, and I don't think that's a bad deal. I mean, I know that we got a couple of counselors that would like to, you know, do we need a course PGA or, you know, there's lots of things. There's a couple things that I was gonna ask you. One was, the city of Claremore, they have all their drinks in coolers. And the public goes and gets it, brings it up, they fill their ice chest, the whole 9 yards, they click them out and right on down the road. And they have people driving around that sells it as well. That would be one, I'd be curious, how do they hold their license? I mean, even the hot dog, you know, hot dog,
Yeah.
they got the buns, you do all that, everything is done by the public. You bring it up and they just, at the
So-
counter.
we've worked with the health department already this week. I think her name's Deborah over there. She sent, we talk about a lot of things, from food truck vendors to whatever. We've had a lot of discussion with her through the years. So she sent over a packet, and said, I need you to fill out line A on page 1 through line C on page 3. Bring it back. So I had Mike fill that out. We filled it out. We've already got that. That's already squared away. We've worked out a deal, right now, trying to figure out the weekends at the very least for adult beverage sales. Right now, the quickest answer we had was the Legion's gonna get a charitable event, permit that'll allow them to do a fundraiser of sorts that will allow them to sell the alcohol on the weekends. They don't have the staff or the manpower or the means right now to do it every day. You know, as we look at going forward, we've talked about, you know, in the past, we talked with Sean about this new grandeur of a new building, right? And I would love to see that. I think that should be our end goal. It's beautiful, right? But I think reality is right now, we need to fix up what we got and make it last as long as we can so that we can continue on forward. So what does that look like? Could we spend a little bit of money and remodel that building, maybe put some siding on it for the time being? Sounds like a big project, but if it's 20 grand, it's 20 grand. And yes, we have that money there and we want to be protective of the funds that have been built up. But we also have the whole base of that pro shop. You can kick your foot through the wall on the outside. That's going to lead to mold. That's going to lead to things. And I'm sorry, but it doesn't say much for a golf course when that's your first image. And in the meantime, if it takes us 4 years, 5 years to get to where we can build a bigger building that has, you know, a nice layout, then we need to spend a little bit of money right now and get those air conditioners in there, clean up the window, put some window coverings on it that, you know, we go to Premier and get a picture, heck, we get a picture of a golfer at that one-way sticker, you know, where you can see out but you can't see in, those kind of things, and that would help with the climate control in there. We've talked about, you know, where's the best place for the cash registers to be. Keith, you know, lifetime of retail, the 10 rule. 10 seconds in the door or 10 feet in the door. Everybody should be greeted or see it in a customer. That's retail 101. And the way it is right now, it's not so much. Yes, they're greeting, but sometimes they're off doing or here or they're back in the back. We can arrange that in a way that sets that all up for success. That's to no failure of anybody before, but it's looking at it and saying, hey, let's reassess what we have now and fix it. We talked about the rebrand. You know, it's a rendering. Oh my gosh, it's a rendering. Let's just take it for that. But something like this, right? Ignore the date because the date is wrong. But I talked with Terry Lamar. You guys know he's our historian. And we talked about how could we incorporate Earl Ward Park on that sign? Somehow take it back to the recognition of what it was. And then the question is, do we put a date on there that is the date that the golf course started or the date that the city acquired Earl Ward Park? You know, so those are the things that we're talking about. But this is kind of what we're looking at. When we look at the employee shirts, it's, sorry guys, it's not much different. Again, just a rendering, but something to that effect. When you see an employee and you can identify an employee, it's the little things that we can do from here that aren't big money costs.
Interesting story on
Yeah.
this, how people talk. They're uninformed and they talk. I heard a conversation that said, well, and now they've already changed the logo. You know, not knowing that that's been a conversation for some time. And it just hits your point, okay? So, you know, but the conversation, I appreciate the conversation, because it allows me, and maybe everybody else here too, it allows you to have that conversation being informed on what really happened, okay? You can't change it, but the air's cleared now.
Yep.
And it's time to go on.
I mean, it's not
Yeah.
it's not easy, and I mean, again, I feel for him, it's just, I don't know, you wouldn't like my answer, so I won't say it publicly, but it's just, I've got some reserves about if that was my animal, what I would do differently. I think that helped me whenever you and I talked, just kind of I didn't think of it that way, and then when you said it, made total sense to me, like, why not? So, there's a lot of stories I think that's not gonna be over with anytime soon, so, unfortunately. As far as the beer, is that gonna be a permanent deal with the VFW, or is that just
No.
temporary?
That's to get us temporarily through the next couple weekends. And like I said, Tim was kind of texting back and forth today. He's going to see if he can do that and get it.
I assume that doesn't create any liability for the city. No.
No, so we've talked to the Able Commission. So here's some of the things that, let's expound on that a little bit, right? So in talking to the Able Commission, the city cannot hold a liquor license. As a government entity, we cannot.
So how does Claremore do it?
Well, they have it in a trust. So the EDTA could hypothetically hold that liquor license and manage that alcohol. But when the EDTA does that, Jared Crisp, Ariana, Daryl Moore, Fred Sordahl, Adam Anderson, right, all the way down. And guess who sits in this seat? I'm an ex officio. Thus, the EDTA can't do it because the mayor sits on that board as by design.
So even if it's a city employee, they can't get.
City employees can't. As the elected official, I cannot. So, and there's a whole pages and pages on the ABLE website about legalities. And we don't want to do anything that creates a shadow of a doubt with anybody. Hence the things like Cartwright volunteering. No, Cartwright, you will be paid. I don't want anything that appears to be a deal. Remember, let's go back a year. My whole thing is to remove this gray cloud, right? And if something like a deal with an employee, well, Cartwright gets to, because how fast will it turn from, Cartwright helps us with the greens, but as soon as they see him on a mower and then they see him golfing, someone somewhere is gonna say, well, he's getting a deal and he gets free golf. No, it's not how it works. I don't want that for Cartwright, I don't want that for the employees, I don't want that for you guys or the city. We have to be.
Honestly, no Cartwright was even a city employee, but,
Well,
I mean, I've known him for a long time.
he's not, but we're gonna bring him on through,
Oh, okay.
you know,
Yeah, he's, again, I have nothing but,
fabulous.
So
Doesn't
one of the employees that you end up hiring for the golf course could be the legal holder of the liquor license, correct? Even though they're city employees?
They could, but here's the thing, so we've talked with like, I don't wanna say names right now, because I don't wanna put them in the spot, and Sue's listening. The idea is that we've had some individuals who are golfers and are out there frequently that have businesses say, well, hey, I could get an LLC and I could basically through, family liquor sales or whatever, we could do this or we could do that. I've had restaurateurs in town that serve alcohol that have said, hey, if we can help, maybe we can look at this. I want to go that route, but in that, as we look at what we can do with that building, you know, we look at the inventory there. Let's just talk raw retail right now, right? There's a lot of that inventory that has sat there for years. A lot of those shoes and things sat there for years. People aren't going to Pryor Creek Golf Course to stock up on all their golf needs, but they'll buy a jersey, or if their glove tears, or they need a new glove, or they forget their balls, or whatever it is, that's what they're getting there. And I think if the city can look at this with a sound retail mind and say, we want good margins, you know, we want to buy those soft lines, those shirts for $30, where we can turn and sell them for 60 and still make really good margins, rather than buying a $40 shirt and having to sell it for $50. That doesn't make sense. So we look at that, and that's where, you know, people with retail backgrounds and understand those things are going to have to come together and discuss. But at the end of the day, I'll present those things to you guys. I will. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I've got. I've had one good conversation with one vendor today, and that's not enough for me to say that's what we're doing. My gosh, he had shirts all over my desk, and hats, and everything else, and gloves. It's a company out of Broken Arrow. I think it was Birds and something. I don't know. Really good products. Really good products. They're not made in America. Those are all questions that people want to ask. Is that a made in America? No. Okay. Made in China? Okay. Was it assembled in the United States, or was it assembled? Sounds crazy, but in a retail clothing scenario, those are legit questions. Lori, am I right on? You know, where we'd think, who cares? It's a good shirt. Some people that matters. But if we can get the right combination and we spare ourselves this crazy overhead where we've tied up all this money in product like those shoes that we bought this last week, that some of those are several years old. They're not going to sell. They're not going to sell because we magically took it over. We're going to have to liquidate those if we're going to get out of the shoe business. But what we can do is get the right combination of refreshments and concessions and get the right combination of what those people want. One of the things that has been brought up to me 1,000 times this week, I wish the pro shop catered to women a little bit more. Okay, I get it. We had some stuff. But one of the craziest little things that we did this week that has brought more happiness to the female golfers, I don't know, we put Alani's in the fridge. Those little, what do you call them, foo-foo drinks, right? Those little lady Red Bulls.
Well, it is a big, in Claremore, they sell a lot, they have a section that's set up for.
But I mean, the idea is we've got an opportunity now to fully assess, unbiased, on how we want to do that. And one of the things that we've kind of talked about is what that pro shop would look like if it had a bar in it. And if the person running that bar, you know, you've got the Thursday night scrambles. Those guys are done, 8, 9 o'clock? Well, let them come in and have a drink. You know, we don't have to have the whole pro shop open. But if whoever's managing that alcohol license can come in and say, hey, I've got a bar in here, I'll manage that, and in exchange for some lease, they pay the city a lease on that space that they're using, then they keep the profits from the pro shop, from the alcohol sales. But to go out and get a cater, to look in the industry at people that cater for these, they want 95% of all the sales from the pro shop. We have staff to pay. That's not happening. It's not happening. We can't take that route. We've talked to individuals that can help out. I think right now it's just a planning thing, figuring out what really would work and what we can do with the building and the space. It's been 4 business days, and we've not once had an empty parking lot. We've not once had somebody come up to me and be like, this is awful, this is horrible. The golfers are happy. The golfers are doing their thing. Everybody respectfully is going to miss the moments. I get it. I will. I told Dennis the other night, I appreciate him. I appreciate him a lot. He's a good friend. But at the end of the day, the show goes on for you guys and it goes on for us. And ball's in our court now, no pun intended. Of course, ball's in our course.
Can I make one suggestion?
Please do.
So it was mentioned to me that it might bring some goodwill and good feelings to the golfers if when they came out, they got a small bucket of balls if they wanted to go hit it with their green fee.
Already working on it.
Okay.
So, we talked about that. You pay for a membership, we'll give you a warm-up bucket.
Well,
Now, you want a big bucket, you're gonna,
Yeah.
for the premium, but those little, I don't know what they are,
They're not
Yeah.
very big.
There's about 15.
15, 20 balls, absolutely, I think that should be included in,
Just have little bags you take out.
Right.
Little bag and go.
those are little things that we can do, that just take a good experience and make it all that much better. Thus, I say, again, we don't need to start off with a $200,000 a year golf pro if he's not gonna be able to manage the people, the course, and everything there. I would rather find the right person who can manage everything, manage the public, and manage what we have, and build them up, you know, so.
At the end of the day, no matter how we look at it, it's gonna be hard to replace exactly what Dennis did. And I don't think any of us think any differently. But at the same time, it's, it kind of one of those deals, it's gotta happen, so we gotta make it happen.
So, and in looking at all of that apparel and all of that merchandise, we will explore the local companies. We've got Inc. 82, we've got TAC, we've got, just in Claremore, we've got, a couple businesses out there. We'll explore them all. But at the end of the day, we need consistency, we need quality, and we need the right stuff, just because you're local. But we'll look at all of those. I mean, my emergency is not what shirts I'm gonna put in there tomorrow. It was making sure we're staffed and that we have no interruptions in play. And that first day, when I rolled up at, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning with Mike, and we had to park way up on the grass behind the pro shop because it was full, and the kids were in there selling stuff out of that pro shop, I thought, you know what? It'll all work out. It'll all work out. Tomorrow will come. I'm sorry that feelings are hard and that feelings have been the way they are.
So where did when you bought out the inventory, where did that money come from?
It's gonna come out of the capital, the golf course capital.
So that's it? Okay.
Yeah, out of that 700 and some odd thousand
Right.
that's sitting there, so.
Is there like a check and a balance for that? So is at some point, is that stuff gonna come through our board and then
You mean the
look
stuff
at
that
it?
I've purchased?
I mean, anytime there's the workings of the golf course come
Yeah.
through here, and then we look at it
So-
passing on to.
That's what I was saying at the
Council.
beginning. I was trying to get all those other things printed, and I didn't. But I've actually got a running, it's like the dumbest of the dumb Excel spreadsheet that says, here's what I spent on concessions this day, here's this, so that you've got that. My running total right now with that 51.9 something for that we bought, the price of the pro shop, and mind you, that had a 10% on it. So the inventory was 47 something, and then 4,700 was the 10% that we gave them, came up to the 51. On top of what I've spent for TVs, coffee pots, all of those things that belong to them, that we didn't buy, that weren't included, that they had already taken, I think right now I'm at like 5,700, and that includes the air conditioners and stuff like that. Or 57,000, I'm sorry. So I've only spent about 6,000 so far.
When all the smoke clears and it levels out, and it will.
I'm
Okay.
confident.
The revenue streams and things will stay in place as they are now for the support of the golf course. and
100%.
improvements and things, that's the intent.
The intent is that everything that is made out there now will go back into the employees and into the golf course in some way, shape, or another. So,
When you just said, are things still gonna come through us first? Like if we change the name of the golf course, say Pryor Creek Earl Ward Golf Course, and whether we not put when it was established, is, to me,
So
not
that
as big
was-
a deal as the other. Will that come to us first, or is that gonna go to the council?
no, it'll come to you guys first. And we talked about that rebranding, and I was very
Right.
like, and that whole like, how do we incorporate Earl Ward Park? Maybe we take what I showed you up here, excuse me, that a minute ago. And what I was talking to Terry last night in a conversation, just casual conversation, is maybe it is the City of Pryor Creek Golf Course at Earl Ward Park. But the golf course itself, the logos, the insignias, the things that we'll have we'll have to talk about Premier doing, you know, for signage and stuff. That's just gonna be the City of Pryor Creek Golf Course.
Which is
Probably
good,
less
because it's
established.
consistent with all the other logos in town.
And that's the goal. That's been the goal since the get-go. But you guys have already approved that rebranding. We're not veering very far on that. Terry just asked if some way, you know, we could incorporate that is at Earl Ward
Like it,
Park.
well, I don't think I was gonna say, like Claremore says Heritage Hills Golf Course. So at the end of the day, if we wanna call it the Earl Ward Park Golf Course, I guess we could.
So,
I
But,
was just curious to see, because I forgot exactly how they branded that, but I think even on there, that it's a City of Claremore owns it, but.
I will tell you right now, though, sorry, Keith.
You're good.
The morale with the staff right now, it's pretty high. It's pretty high.
I think you're gonna have this issue for a little bit of running back and forth, and that's to be expected, and that's part of any time, that's what I was trying to say. When anytime you buy out business and you come in and you're the
It's part of the game.
new sheriff in town, it becomes a he said, she said, and this is how we used to do it, and I don't think that's gonna die tomorrow or the next week, and anything goes on, somebody's gonna go run and say something. It's just the nature of the beast. It's unfortunate, and there's not a whole lot you can do. But even if it went 2 years and got out, whatever, if you change anything, well, that's not how we've always done it. And there would be somebody that's gonna be mad about something. I don't think we can.
You know, I'm not doing anything that I haven't brought to you guys today. We did change all of the, I was trying to be courteous, you know, we did pull all of the IP addresses and had those changed. We changed all of the camera logins and software. There were some Arlo cameras. That's a Walmart brand. There were 12 of those. We pulled those down. Bart pulled those, and then we had Jeremiah from Cherokee Security come over. We pulled those. We deemed them trash, so we threw them away. And then we got a call that they wanted those cameras. So I dug out as much of the trash as I could, and I just kept them in the bag, tied it off, and I set it aside, told them where they were. Some of those were left on my desk, or the desk down there yesterday. I don't know, but we're gonna probably put new cameras up there, making sure that we have the fuel tank and the back door lined up. We'll get one over we need to get one over all of the sheds, probably out by the cart corrals. You know, we wanna make sure that we have it safe and secure. The fact that the council meeting the other night, I don't know if you saw, I pulled a purchase order. That purchase order was done on the 1st for a re-up of the PGA membership on the city credit card. And I said, I'm not inclined to pay that. I'm not paying a personal membership on the city card for somebody who's not gonna be a city employee. So we pulled that. Hannah and Darla will work on getting that back. But at the same time, the 4UP and the Gaulis software were canceled, and those were paid for by the city at the same time. So we had to go in and get all of those re-upped and get admin rights on those things to find out that they were told just a few weeks ago or less, don't renew that. I'm not pointing fingers, I'm just saying, you assess that as it is. My job is to make sure it's safe and secure, and that it's profitable, and that the golfers have the best time they can. So, my job has not been easy, but I am up for the challenge, and I'm gonna do what's right. At the end of the day, there are gonna be hurt feelings, because we're changing the way it's been for 3 decades. But sometimes change is good. Sometimes change is healthy, and sometimes change lets us know where we have deficiencies. And so,
I wouldn't be a betting person that there's a lot of things that you're gonna bring to us that, well, kind of look at one another like, okay. I mean, for instance, the air conditioning and stuff where the employees are. I would assume that had been taken care of a long time ago. I was the first I heard of it. Which is kind of odd, but.
I would recommend,
Nice and cool in there today.
you're welcome.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Well,
And now they go, ooh, this is.
Yeah.
You know.
I would recommend that you guys consider, I don't even know what to call it. Maybe a surplus sale. There's a lot of things that we don't need that we've got. You go into the maintenance garage and there's a bunch of Yamaha those little black coolers. There's hitches, there's ball washers, it's decades of stuff that's accumulated. Somebody will buy. And I think if we've got, there's a shed that's got, that the school uses that has, I was telling you, I bet there's 2,000 clubs in there just thrown in. I'll show anybody that wants to see it before we do anything. But maybe we get with the school and say, hey, what do you need in here? And if you don't need it, let's put it out and make me a deal. It's yours. We can make a profit on that stuff that some would deem junk. It may not be but a couple bucks a cooler or whatever, but there's no sense in just throwing that away. Somebody will buy it. So I would recommend you guys consider that. If we need to take a day down there and look at stuff,
I probably wouldn't hurt to try to get some of that. Again, just being out there a lot here lately, last year or so, it's a great way to get exercise.
Well, let me just ask a question. As we're talking about these things, what percentage of the golf course revenues come from green fees and carts, and what percentage comes from merchandise?
I don't think we have that
Great
number yet.
question.
No, but I'd speculate it's pretty heavy, we're pretty light on the merchandise.
So one of the things that, and I'll share this, and I don't know if it'll help your question out, Chris, but when we started looking at this, I asked, so we got a demand letter. We kind of talked a little bit about that. Keith, you keep me on track if you want to shut that down, you do. That was really more about Dennis. And a lot of this had nothing to do with Dennis. This was more about that A&B contract than really, not more than it was. But the demand letter more or less started off with their attorney demanding that Dennis's salary, if he was going to stay for 2 years, immediately jumped to $165,000 a year. We shared that with several of the council members. I will tell you that their response is as you would think it was. But in being respectful to all point of view, we went in and we looked at that and we said, okay, what is he making now? What is the salary? And you notice I've never brought up what Dennis's salary is or how much I think that's none of my business. But when it comes down to this negotiation and things, Darla and Lisa both pay out bonuses. And Darla pays the green fees and the memberships. The sum for the last year was almost $56,000, just in bonuses for those two. And the other was just about $30,000, 29 and some change.
For the pro shop?
For the memberships.
Okay.
So as you look at that, there's $80,000 in bonuses. On top of an $80,000 salary, puts us right about that 160, 165, right? So I said, okay. So I took that back and I said, well, here's this. Maybe we do it with no bonuses, right? If we go to that, then that's what we look at. And then on the city side, we had to look at all sides and said, okay, but what does that do to a retirement contribution? That more than doubles the retirement contribution on the city side. So that would be a significant financial thing that the city would have to have council approval for. And this all was literally probably maybe Thursday last week.
Yeah, it all escalated
Very fast.
quickly.
And City Hall was closed on Friday. Jay was respectfully enjoying her vacation last week. No, that was the week before.
Week before.
But we posted the agenda. It didn't make the agenda because there were still some questions that needed to be answered, whatever. And again, that's been a hot point, why we weren't on the agenda. But the point is, the city from the get-go had offered to buy the pro shop out. We had offered all these things. We had said this has nothing to do with Dennis as an employee. All of those things were there, and there was actually very little interaction about the pro shop and where that was going to go. Okay? In a conversation Monday with the attorneys and Donna down at the pro shop, the perception from the other side was that was the offer. That was what they were going to do. But champion that as much as I can. Again, I understand that there are feelings and passion right now, and I'm not, that's why I didn't engage, I'm not gonna stir that pot. But the job is not easy.
Well, I was gonna say, even your, was it 10 or 20, it wasn't much that was on the contract for what they wanted to negotiate. I don't think we even have an idea of what the,
And my point, I'm not sure, with all due respect, I'm not sure how we got off on
I was
this.
kinda getting at the bonuses and where the votes balance out.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't asking about bonuses. What I'm asking about is the fundamentals of this business. We've got a business here that we run, Pro Shop, City of Pryor. And that pro shop, I'm not in pro shop, that tennis, golf course
Of course, yeah.
can not, the city, I've heard you say, you are not putting a dime in that golf course. Is that an accurate statement?
From the general fund.
From the general fund, okay.
Make sure we get that full statement.
All right, okay. And to me, that's, if there's another source, I didn't know there was, but the plan is there's no plan to supplement that golf course with additional funds if it needs it.
I think that, you're correct, but I think after what we've seen the last 2 years, they don't need it. That course is making some good money. I mean,
Yeah.
would you disagree?
No, but what I would say is we're introducing some changes to that course. And I think if I were to do a risk assessment on our course, I would say our biggest risk is, can we maintain the greens? And then if we can maintain the greens, can we maintain the rest of the property that it's playable? And those, when I was asking a question about what are our revenues, our main source of revenues are coming from carts, that's what we got to get right. The rest of this stuff, I don't think, we're working off of a margin.
Right.
And those are the things that, to me, we need to, as a park board, we need to ensure for this business to stay solvent. It has been insolvent.
yeah,
It has been insolvent. It's not make-believe. It's not, it's not gonna happen because we got money. The reason we have money is because it has been well taken care of and things focused on the right thing. And so I'm just saying here that I think, I'm not saying it's an existential threat, but stranger things have happened when you get into a business, and we've got to make sure the revenues grow faster than the expenses. And there's just a lot of change that's going on right now, and somebody needs to be paying attention, all of us, to what are our revenues doing? Are our revenues going up? Are they going to be flat? Are they going to start declining? And look at our expenses. Because you know what we can say about this course, that we've just made some changes, is that it was extremely profitable. And people can complain about it and talk bad about your business and say, we don't like it. But you know what? They showed up and they paid.
yeah, it's true.
I mean, it's hard to argue with the books. And so let's keep our head focused, I think, to me, on what the right things are, and that we don't let this thing slip away, because if it slips away, the city of Pryor right now is not in a position that they can bail this thing out.
Correct.
So when we talk
Agree
about
to
these
this.
things, I would like to see some financials. I would like to see what's this thing doing on a monthly basis. If we see it start heading south, we need to have some conversation. We need to start ringing the bell going, hey, what's going, or, and this is very possible, revenues may stay flat, but we're taking on head count. Right?
Well, we are, and those have all been.
Well, let me just finish that
Yeah.
point. It's possible that expenses can grow faster than revenues. And we're headed in the wrong direction if that starts happening. So we need to be looking at the financials on this thing, that somebody is monitoring it closely so that we don't get ourselves upside down and not get a way to pull out.
Pull the head, yeah, pull the.
We've had near-death experiences before.
Well, and I'm just curious, because you know, you're asking that, how much was actually offset from, you know, cart rentals and greens fee that were, if all that, how much was that revenue? So if it was $57,000,
Yeah, 55,
and then,
56,000.
and something was 20, so,
Yeah, you're looking at what are you spending your money on?
right,
And where are you making your margins? And it's just basic business 101
yeah,
that I think we just need to have visibility to that and understand how this business is doing, because there's nobody to bail us out.
true. You didn't take, we didn't take on more employees, right?
We brought on Cartwright.
But I mean, as a general from what was there
Actually, we're
previously.
under- She, from what I understood, at one point from a meeting with her, that they, at their average was about 10 employees.
That's what I thought too.
Right now, we've got 4 or 5 maybe, and one of them just got back from Alaska Sunday and is getting ready to head off to college in a couple of weeks, so.
Well, let me ask you, because here's the question then. Under the arrangement we had, and I'm not here to argue that arrangement versus this arrangement. I am talking about, are we taking on more employees? And I think in the pro shop, those employees are now being paid, right? Out of golf course expenses.
They will be for a few weeks till we get some solid financials, yes. But the intent is, what we've done is we set those employees up. What we're trying to do is mark them as course or pro shop. So the revenues that come from that pro shop through credit card sales, whatever, blah, 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 those will go into fund the pro shop, just ideally as Donna ran it. And so, you know, as we have those salaries that, you know, if she collected herself, the 10 employees, plus the merchandise, plus the insurance and all that, we've got to keep all of that in mind. So we're looking at that. It's going to be a while till we get true comparable numbers
Yeah, I
on
don't
what that
think
pro
it-
shop
I
is
figure
doing.
90 days, wouldn't you?
But it,
It's gonna be a
but-
while before you can compare apples to apples on
Right.
how we're doing financially, because you're gonna have to compare it to how we did last year, and it's gonna be a whole new set of rules, and it's gonna be very difficult, but it's important that we develop some type of continuity on
Right.
how we can watch that.
well, and I think tracking it right now is key.
But I would even say, and correct me if I'm wrong here, because it's late, and I was gonna say wasn't feeling up to snuff, but I'm not saying that now. I'm feeling good. Just joking. But we've taken those 10 employees, let's use that as an example. Now, with Donna, the A and B golf shop, we didn't have any employee expense.
Correct.
Right.
She did though. We did not.
She did.
She did.
But it was a contract arrangement, right?
Right.
But they didn't hit our expenses. But they're gonna start hitting ours.
But we also didn't have the revenues from the pro shop.
Yeah, so what we're banking on is we can take that pro shop and do a better throughput of revenue than what she did.
Can we say a different? Is
Well, okay,
that safe, right? A different angle? But I think you're right. I mean, we have to watch those things. We have to look at it.
well, and we
It'll be a
know,
while before you'll be able to figure that out.
and we do know that one of the complaints was she was making too much money.
I don't know what she made, nor do I care. I don't mean that in the way
Yeah.
it sounds, but
Well,
no more than what either of you made in your careers. That's not my business. My business is what did we have to pay back? What did we do? And I look at these employees, her employees were hired through her. If we take them on through Express, we're gonna pay them, say, $11 an hour, but we're paying Express $18, $19. The higher price ones, it's gonna behoove us to bring them on ours, give them a small bump for the work they do, provide insurance, and it's still gonna be cheaper than what we're doing, which is still less profits than she was spending on them before. So I think as long as we don't overstaff, and we've talked a lot about that. The other thing is with the morale, you don't want to start bringing in all these new employees while you're trying to buoy up the old ones, because they're gonna go, what, are they just replacing us? So we want to be mindful of that. We want to make sure that that as we do this, that it's strategic, that it's calculated, but it's also very mindful of what we're spending. And so today, I'm not kidding, I haven't had a chance to open the 1,000 emails I've got today, but I know that somewhere in today, Lisa, who does the stuff payroll here, Lisa sent me an analysis of where we're at with the employees that we brought on, which would be Boomer is the only one we've brought on to ours. The rest of them are under Express right now.
But I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just trying to raise some awareness that bottom line is, as quick as we can get our hands on these financials, I think the better off we'll be of understanding what's going on out there and we don't get ourselves blindsided with, and I know everybody's got good intents, but it is something as we're having to buy merchandise now. We've got to buy, if we're gonna start buying, the
Concessions.
pop and the concessions, all those are expenses that we haven't had to buy. And God help us, we don't run into a cash flow problem. I don't know what the plan is to consolidate all the funds or to separate the funds and say we know what the pro shop's doing versus what the course is doing. Because the worst thing for us would be is headed down a path and we're losing money and we can't figure out why.
Well, and I think, to your point, Chris, I think that's where it benefits those of us that have that experience as our background. Like the gentleman today with the shirts, my question is, what is your MOQ? What is your minimum order quantity? And what do I get if I get that? And if I can buy a shirt that's just as good, I'm using it as an example. If I can buy a shirt that's just as good a quality, that's maybe not an FJ or a Puma, which is an industry brand, right? And I can say, hey, I've got a shirt, same quality, same material, same stitching, triple stitching, buttons, whatever, right? But I can buy that at $30 rather than $50, and I can sell that same shirt for the same quality. We're gonna have those better margins, and that's what we get to do right now. It's kind of an open challenge. And so, as we look at that, we look at, if we're bringing in Monster, how much are we paying for a case of Monster? And what price gives us a 50% margin or 100% margin? So if what we analyze says, this is just gonna take us backwards, it's a good time for us to cut things out and make that change. And so,
And I appreciate, I know you're looking at different ideas and how to maximize. But that was really the intent of my original question was, where do we really make money?
yeah,
We make it on the carts.
it's the carts and the concession, that's where we're making the
I
money.
would be surprised, do you think that concession makes 10% of total revenues?
Collectively, once it's all back up, I bet it would. I bet it would.
Because I think what we're gonna run into is, I think there's some people think we ought to put pop boxes back out. Let them buy pop.
Put what?
Put a
Soda
Cola-
machine.
Yeah, soda machine. People wanna buy out of a soda machine.
I'm telling you, and don't kill the messenger, but I was just very floored that the guy said, go get your beer, go get your pop, go get whatever. That was very interesting to me to have that conversation and go get it. And you want a hot dog? You ask the guy and he goes, yeah, it's right behind you. There's the buns there, it's there. And it's like, but
How much control is really there?
yeah, and it's just a take care of it type of deal, and maybe that's the new model is to where people want to do that. I don't know. I truly don't know, but I do know that it's very interesting to listen to some of these conversations since we've started this. Like Claremore, they've got some shirts, but not very many. They have hats, but not a lot. They sell balls, gloves, specialty stuff that, hey, I forgot this. That's what they're going to
Well,
say.
I think the master that we can look
That's
at,
cool.
the master that we can look at all of this is our city sales tax, right? Where are people spending their money? Are they spending it in brick and mortar, or are they spending it online? Do we see those use tax? What we see right now is the numbers came out just, they were a lot lower than we wanted them to be for the last month, but that use tax, and it's not coming back down. So again, I don't think us having this tremendous overhead and purchasing all that product is the way to go. But I think if we have access to it, and we set up some good relationships with vendors, those little details.
I think that will make a
Those
difference.
little details are going to be what make it the better experience for the golfers. I mean, let's be real, golf is beside from fun, there's a lot of golf that has to do with appearance. You know, you've got a great looking set of clubs, let's go golf. And I don't even know how to use them, but I got a good
Well,
set.
you know, the golf carts was a big deal and they've done well. We need to continue on that. We need to make sure we get the GPS on it and stuff like that on it. That's a big deal.
We don't know what the we don't know what the pro shop made.
We won't know.
So
for at least a
we
year.
won't know if we're doing better or worse until we establish our own boundaries. I mean,
Yeah.
because we don't know.
In all reality, Ron, we won't
Base.
have comps until probably 2 years from now.
Yeah.
Well, the first year and then a second year to compare to the first, but what we can do to your idea is, we can start plotting it on the chart now. We were here this month, we were here this month.
Yeah.
And see what that trend establishes. I think that's what we've gotta do. But again, you know, I appreciate the conversations. You know, I think the biggest priority right out of the bat Wednesday morning was make sure we have a solid, informed, and prepared and buoyed up staff that knows what their expectations are.
I don't think, first off, I appreciate it, everybody that made comments, because I heard about the dog deal, and I didn't think it was that big a deal until the day when you and I were talking. And it was I had no idea it was that big a deal. Then I hear about we had a funeral and this, and buried out here, and I thought, well, that's nice. And then I listened to your comment, and I go, well, I didn't think about that part. And so there's lots of moving parts, but I don't think it's any different. If anybody new comes into, as a mayor, I mean, the assumption is you could walk in and go, guess what? Everybody's gone, I'm replacing everybody at one time. It could happen. And so I think it was just a shock and awe, and there's lots of people that's gonna make, lots of comments, and trust me, I've got more than my share. And this last week with the beer, who's doing the beer, and about the dog today for some silly reason, and beer again. But it's just part of it, I guess that's what it is, but again, I think the passion, and I think you understanding and hearing our point from even Chris to, Pam, to everybody. I mean, I know that sometimes it seems like it's pot shots, but it's just looking at a snapshot of what we're doing at the, what's always been done, and I think we're in uncharted territory, and the best thing we can do is manage it that way, because I think the big thing, like you're saying, going forward, it would be, is everything, what does our payout look like compared to where we are? Because I think as long as those greens look good, and as long as those balls are flying, I don't think we have an issue. It's whenever we got a slow day, what happened, and then trying to analyze that.
The condition of the course is what brings people.
Absolutely. I'm telling you, Clearwater's bad.
Have you gotten many suggestions in your suggestion box that you put out there?
Shit.
See, that's,
I couldn't,
We empty it daily, Pam.
and see, that's another good thing to know. you
well,
know.
Yeah, no.
I think we're gonna have a plethora of both, quite honestly. I think you're gonna have some do this and do this and do this, and why don't we do
I've had
that?
suggestions all the way from, and I won't take any of them in a direction one way or the other. To me, they're suggestions,
Right.
and we review them and we talk about them. Because it's something somebody has seen somewhere that worked, right? That's the whole idea. I've had people say, only polos on the course.
Say what now?
Only.
Did you go through that?
polos.
Oh, my God.
I've had people say,
Chris, you fought that battle, remember?
no spikes in the parking
We
lot.
won't share that
We
story.
won't share that story now.
No cleats in the parking lot. I've had a whole slew of them. I even had somebody, never mind, I'll not share that one publicly, but it's a too soon thing about, the different types of tournaments that we can have. I think I shared that with you. But the point is we're gonna listen to it. If anybody wants to know where they can help right now, get a hold of Houston and find out how we can help him with lunch on Friday.
Yeah, I've got a
That's where
message.
he's at right now.
I mean, we've had it, the shirt deal was your deal, wasn't it? Whenever they decided on what they could wear, couldn't wear, and that's how that became
Yeah, people were complaining about what some of the men wore on the course. Some wore torn top t-shirts.
Crop t-shirts?
tore the sleeves.
Oh, I'm thinking, when you say
Sleeveless.
crop, I'm thinking showing your back.
And I think that was even some of that.
Well,
And you fought the beer deal.
Well, the beer deal, not to belabor this, and this is something else. This is a different issue, but this has to do with who's sitting in the political chair and who's sitting on some of these boards that make decisions. I can tell you, this board has had over the years, guys like Max Corlett. We all know Max. Sharp guy. We know, Kenny Prather. We've had the dentist, who am I thinking of?
Rains?
Rains. And we've had a lot of people on this board, and what they found out is this gets so contentious with the public and people get mad that it hurts their business. We've actually had people here in town get boycotted over decisions that get made on these various boards, and people just don't. But now, it happens when you're running for office. That's something you have to deal with, is you have to deal with people who are taking the opposite side of the argument, and they're gonna,
They'll explode it.
they'll explode it, they'll write things. And so that is just part of it, and I don't know how we keep that from happening, but you do have to recognize, and you're the only one right now that's still working, right, in a business. Pam, the rest of us are retired, and that's the reason all the years I worked in Tulsa, I was pretty much bulletproof. I didn't have anything to lose other than my reputation, and it was gone anyway. So, but people that are in business here, it's hard to serve on these boards.
You don't do it. I'm just telling you, you just don't do it.
Yeah,
Well,
Because you
I'll
can't
say,
control it.
well, the bad part of it is, you try to take everybody's position, and it's just like, our last meeting, and, well, they're saying y'all want this, another one's saying, we're saying this, and at the end of the day, I don't think it was ever really discussed who was saying what, but there was comments all over the board, and it was just like, whenever we said something, I mean, at the time, you had a lot of stuff going on between it, and it's not helpful, and we're getting pot-shotted, and everybody's getting pot-shotted, that something's gonna blow over, it's just part of it. But at the end of the day, I think it's good that we've had a good conversation, we've got some stuff in the air, and, the dog deal, again, I think it is what it is. I mean, I'll just leave it, it is what it is.
But left alone, it would have,
It was gonna fester, but it had to get out, and I'm glad it's out. That's probably the best thing you said out of it. It's over, I mean, we can't fix it, do anything with it.
well, for those people that are still with us, and I think most of you probably know this, the golf coach at Claremore, do you guys know?
I do.
we got fired.
West.
And so it had a big impact here, but there must have been more to the story over there.
There was. So I also, I'll throw this in and, you guys can do what you want. I had a good conversation today with somebody about possibly bringing back those high school tournaments that stopped quite a few years ago. Those are the things we need to look at. How are we continuing to support our youth? How are we pushing forward? Just take it as it is. I've had a lot of positive comments. People are just impressed on how we've been able to continue rolling forward. And the thing is it's still a beautiful course, and it will remain a beautiful course. We have great employees out there. As leadership, we need to put our trust and faith in those employees that they'll do what they've been trained and taught to do, as long as we continue to support them and give them what they need to do their job. And then, making sure that there's communication to them. It's just, there's a lot going on. You said it. I mean, there's a lot going on. And at the end of the day, our job is that the show has to go on. Unfortunately, passion will play its place, and as leaders, we just need to not engage in the negative and move on. I mean, that's the bottom line. So,
Well,
Do we need to take any action on these?
there's
Well-
no action really. If this was just, is this the city council, yeah, on those, do you want us to make it a motion? There's not one on here. to
well,
do anything.
no, I
We can
think.
Do it in 2 weeks.
I think the thing is, just know that, going forward, that we're probably still gonna try to find some shirts for the crew. I'm still gonna continue to
I
work on
don't
those air
think that's a bad
conditioners.
deal. I like that when everybody looks the same, quite honestly, when you walk
Absolutely.
in
That way
someplace.
they know who to go.
Well,
to.
and right now, they're wearing their own, and those poor guys out on the course are, they would love to have something that's not theirs to wear to work, like the streets and the parks department and everybody else, so I think, we're just gonna keep doing what we can do to keep it moving. Eventually, we'll hit a point where we don't. What I would ask, if you would think about it, is recommend council action to move with the bunker rake.
Yes.
We do need to get the bunker
Which
rake.
one?
I'll make a motion that we do
The-
the one that they said they needed.
27, 28?
28,236, and what's this other one, the mower?
This is
That's another one.
Sand Pro.
Sand
So
Pro.
these are all the,
These
Oh, okay.
Two separate pieces,
well,
Yeah.
they're two different vendors.
I think
two vendors, same,
vendors
they
for
do the
this
same
one.
function.
But
Right.
he suggested the KGT one,
That's the one
the
that,
middle one. I make a motion
Did
that
he?
we,
Did he talk
present
about that?
Which one?
the middle one on the KGT,
yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure he has.
28,236.
we brought that up a couple months.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I knew we talked about bunker rate. I didn't know if we had talked about a specific one.
And we had, just so you guys know, Dennis and I did talk about putting that in his capital for this fiscal year that we're in right now, but they need that now.
Oh, I agree.
They need it now. So if you guys will recommend to council action, that'll go to council next week.
Motion.
Make a motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Yeah, so just to clarify, forgive me, did we want the rake and the mower?
Just the rake, right?
Just
Just
the
the
rake.
rake, okay. Reeser?
Yes.
Buffington?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Graves?
Yeah.
Shelby?
Yes. All right. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Motion, second.
I'm freezing, it's cold. You know what's cold?
Yeah, it is tough.
I-
You've got, I do very little in the city of Pryor.
Would you like me to call the vote? on that?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
No, or just, we can, all in favor?
Sure, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
The old banking rule is,
thought we were
you get involved in politics, you don't go on